everybody. I want to tell you my story. How I tried to fulfill my dream, but in the end, I lost my husband, child, and career. Worst of all, I only regret my lost career because I never loved my new family. My name is Karen, and I was 19 years old when I made the most important decision of my life. I lived in a small town and was surrounded by people with no ambition or desire to conquer the world. And that boredom was tearing me apart. I needed to change something. So I got down to business. I worked as a waitress 24/7 for almost a year. I didn't have fun. I didn't buy anything expensive, and I didn't go on vacation. All this was in order to save enough money, move to Los Angeles, and start building a career as an actress. You may say that this is stupid and presumptuous, but I had every reason to believe that I would have succeeded. Since I was a child, I'd participated in various performances at the local theater. I attended a drama club, and most importantly, I had a unique appearance. I'm a red-haired girl with a lot of freckles. This type of character is one that would definitely be remembered by film producers. Finally, I saved the necessary amount of money, packed my things, said goodbye to my friends and relatives, and left. It wasn't sad, actually. I had a whole world open up in front of me, and while I was on the plane, I was already imagining myself on the red carpet in a chic dress. I was sure that my success was coming in only a matter of time, and I was ready to live for a few years in a cheap apartment, then move to Hollywood Hills. A couple of days after moving in, I went to my first auditions, and I felt like I just nailed it, and they promised to call me back. However, I didn't receive any messages for a few weeks. Then I started going to absolutely every audition that I could sign up for. Ads, movies, supporting roles in cheap TV shows, anywhere. And for over 6 months, I was only in the crowd scene in some second-rate film a couple of times. You literally can't even see me there. Then I learned that, like in any other area of life, what really mattered was not skills, but connections. So I started making friends and going to events and parties. However, I was very disappointed to learn that in these places you mostly meet the same losers like myself. I was running out of money and energy. I thought I was a complete fool for thinking it would be so easy. However, I soon finally met the right person. Unfortunately, he wasn't a movie producer. This guy's name was Derek. He was almost 10 years older than me, and we met at a party like this. If it wasn't for my difficult money situation, I would never have started dating him. But he turned out to be really rich, and I saw in him a chance to last a little longer in LA. I dated him for a few months, and overall he was a good guy. Then he asked me if I wanted to live together, and I was happy to accept his offer because recently I had spent the last money I had for rent, and I literally could only eat when I went out on dates. So I was able to continue trying to build my career. However, with each rejection, I felt just like a ball trying to break a concrete wall. In addition, there was another problem. After 6 months of living together, Derek started talking about having a baby. He was not as young as I was, and he wanted a quiet family life. At first, I said that it was too early for us to take such a huge step, but as time went on, he began to put even more pressure on me. One day we had a big fight about it, and I realized that if I didn't change my mind about the baby, our relationship would have ended. But Derek was my only chance to live in Los Angeles, so I had to tell him yes. But I only said that to throw him off guard. I started taking birth control pills, so all of our attempts to have a baby failed. As the weeks and months went by, Derek began to worry that we weren't getting anywhere. One time he saw me taking pills, and he started asking a lot of questions. But I lied and said that they were regular vitamins. Derek's patience ran out soon, and he dragged me to the hospital with him. Geez, that's what I was afraid of. When the results of all the tests were ready, the doctor said that Derek's health was fine. However, based on the hormones in my blood, the doctor suggested that I was taking birth control. Damn, my deception had been discovered. After that, Derek almost destroyed me. He was mad at me, and I thought he was going to kick me out of the house. In the end, he gave me an ultimatum. We had to have a baby or we'd have to break up. It's not hard to guess what happened next. I agreed, and a month later, the test showed 2 stripes. So that, hooray, I wasn't happy about it at all. I had all the normal pregnant woman problems that prevented me from living normally, but the last straw was a situation at auditions. There was a role in a TV series, not the first tier series, of course, but it could have been an important start for me. I successfully passed 2 rounds of auditions, but when the producers found out that I was pregnant, I was rejected because no one was going to wait for me. I came home completely broken, and I felt like I was starting to get depressed. The birth of a child only added fuel to the fire. I couldn't love him because he was the anchor that kept me chained to the house, and the constant screaming and crying only made me hate him and myself. And if Derek used to pay attention to me and be romantic, now he was babysitting our son around the clock. So I was all alone with the emptiness that was gradually consuming me. But then there was another person who added color to my life. One man started constantly writing to me on Instagram. He said that I was beautiful and invited me to a cafe or for a walk. You know, I wasn't going to have an affair with him, but I was looking at the whole situation at home and I just wanted to have an excuse to go out. So I started seeing him regularly, and I felt that this was exactly what I was missing. Very soon we spent the night together, never saw each other again, but I felt good for the first time in a year. So I decided to continue entertaining myself with dates. I installed Tinder and registered on several dating sites. From that moment on, I spent time with other men at least once a week. I was pleased with their attention. And now I felt like the movie producer who was casting a man for a one-night stand with me. And as a real producer, I never called them back. I justified my frequent absence from home by saying that I had started going on auditions again. Derek couldn't blame me for anything because then I would have made him feel guilty for limiting me and taking my dream away from me. However, he kept asking a lot of questions and was suspicious, and he was afraid that I might leave him. And his fears were reasonable because soon I met someone who could help boost my career. There was this guy, Alex. We met online and he was an assistant producer on some new projects. It was a match I wanted to stay on. We dated for a couple of weeks, and one day he invited me to a big party. And it wasn't a party for losers. I was pretty sure I'd already seen a few people there on TV, and Alex promised to introduce me to a casting manager who could find a role for my type. Yes, this is how things are done in big business. Deals are made over a couple of cocktails at a noisy party. So Alex introduced me to this man. He seemed very serious, and I didn't even know what he was doing in a place like this. However, after a little conversation, we got down to business. This manager was going to conduct an audition for the role of the girlfriend of the main character for a TV series, and he said that I could fit into this series perfectly. Oh, you wouldn't believe how long I've been waiting to hear those words. I already imagined myself on the set, makeup artists working with me while I repeated the lines. Then the director sits in his chair and shouts, "Action!" It was the reason why I came to Los Angeles in the first place. However, my thoughts were rudely interrupted, and I quickly returned from heaven to earth. My husband was shouting his way through the crowd toward me. It turned out that there was a friend of his at the party who thought it was strange that I was hanging out without my husband, and he called him and told him everything. And then Derek was standing next to me and yelling like a madman, insulting the casting manager who had just given me my dream. I didn't even have time to justify myself. And what could I say in response? After all, I was guilty of many sins against Derek. Plus, Alex started arguing with my husband because he didn't even know I was married. The tension was so strong that I thought someone was going to get hurt. A second later, Derek grabbed my arm, dragged me to the car, and we drove home. And we had a real fight. He was very angry, and he made a lot of accusations against me, and I just stood there blushing with shame. I had nothing else to do but admit to him that I was cheating on him, and that I did it because I wanted to be an actress and not the housewife that Derek turned me into. So the next morning I packed my stuff. I had nowhere to go because, after all, during all my time in LA, I never found a job or any real friends who could help me. So I had to go back to my hometown, to my parents. I divorced Derek, and he took full custody of our child. But I wasn't upset about it. It would have reminded me of my sad past. But now I had the life that I was trying so hard to avoid. I made too many bad decisions, dreaming of becoming famous, birth control pills, cheating on my husband. I lost, and all I have now is hope that I will become a good person and make amends.